Dear students, today we'll read the second lesson of 10th class, and the lesson name is Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. It, it is a biographical lesson by Nelson Rohilla Mandela. In this lesson, the writer Nelson Mandela tells us about apartheid. This is a political system that separates people from a different community on the basis of their color and creed. And according to this apartheid, the people were facing a lot of problems. They were snatched of their basic rights, and they were not able to live their life like other people. And in this lesson, Nelson Mandela also tells what was his perception about freedom, individual freedom, and how it changed with the course of time. The meaning of the freedom, how it changed with the course of time. We will read in this lesson. Nelson Mandela was put behind the bars for raising voice against this social evil, apartheid. This was a political evil and political system. According to this, the black were not considered equal to the whites, and they were not given equal rights as well. So we'll read this chapter and we are going to start. 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. Inauguration means opening ceremony. Besieged means surrounded. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. Here the writer tells us that 10th May was a very important day in the history of Africa, because on this day he was elected the first black president, and he was supposed to take an oath on that day as the president of Africa. And it was 10th May when he was to take his oath as the president, first black president of Africa. For the past, for the writer says that 10th May the sky was very clear, and he was surrounded by various different many dignitaries. Dignitaries means celebrities and world leaders who came to Africa to show to attend the opening ceremony. The opening means the starting, the beginning of a new era in Africa, because there was an end of apartheid in Africa, and all the world leaders were coming to Africa for the celebration of this great day. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. Nelson Mandela says that this inauguration was a very important inauguration because there was a large gathering of the people on the soil of Africa. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater formed by the Union buildings in Pretoria, and the celebration took place in the Union building in Pretoria. It was a nice building made of sandstone, lovely sandstone. And amphitheater means a building without a roof, like a stadium, we can say. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. The writer wants to tell us that for decades the this place, this land had the supremacy of the white. The white people were ruling over Africa, but now it was a different day when the black president was going to take an oath, and there was an end of apartheid. And now it was the sight of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's. And first time in the history of Africa, uh, there was huge crowd of the world leaders on the soil of Africa to witness the first democratic and non-racial government. On that day, lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zenani. On the podium, Mr. De Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. Writer tells us that he was with his daughter Zenani on the stage, and Mr. De first of all, I would like to tell you about the autumn day. Autumn day means what happens in autumn. In autumn, old leaves fall down and new leaves take place. Mean to say, new leaves bloom on the trees. New leaves grow on trees. In the same way, apartheid was over and new system of government was to be formed. That's why it was a lovely autumn day. Mr. De Klerk was uh, first sworn in as the second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the Constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and its people. So, before Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki de Klerk was sworn in as the first deputy president, and now what happens? I'm telling you. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the Constitution. So Nelson Mandela took an oath that he would abide by the Constitution of Africa, and he would devote himself for the well-being of the republic and the citizens of Africa. To the assembled guests and the watching world I said. Then he addressed the gathering over there. Today all of us do by our presence here confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Confer means to give. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. Nelson Mandela addressed the world leaders saying that after on that particular day there would be a new era was going to start, because they faced a lot of problem due to apartheid, and they got a new hope and newborn liberty, and they witnessed so far the apartheid that brought them a lot of problems, and that was like an extraordinary human disaster. Disaster means a problem, calamity that lasted too long, and out of that a society was formed on which all the humanity will be proud. We who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We thanks we thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of a country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. Here, Nelson Mandela addresses the large gathering of the international leaders and celebrities, telling them that not so long ago they were considered outcast, or we can say outlaws, mean to say they were beyond laws, they were deprived of certain permissions and rights, but today they have a rare privilege to host the nations on the soil of the African soil. And in this way he give his thanks to all the international guests who had come to attend the celebration. And after all, a common victory, because that was a common victory for justice, peace, for human dignity. We have at last achieved a political emancipation. Emancipation means freedom. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and discrimination. Then Nelson Mandela makes makes sure that he got political emancipation, political freedom, and then he takes his pledge to liberate all his people from the continuing bondage of poverty. Deprivation means shortage, suffering, deprivation state of not having one's rightful benefits, suffering, gender and other discrimination. जो दूसरे प्रकार के जो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन थे, जो पार्शलिटी थी, उन सब से उन चीज़ों को, उनके अपने लोगों को वो लिबरेट करने के लिए प्लेज लेता है. Never, never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. He again says that there won't be any time again that his people would experience such type of disaster on the land of Africa. They won't be exploited by others. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. और इस तरीके से जो ह्यूमन अचीवमेंट जो इतनी जो ग्लोरियस हैं, जो शानदार हैं, उनका जो सूर्य है वो कभी भी अस्त नहीं होगा. जो उनकी अचीवमेंट हैं उनको कभी भी डाउन नहीं होंगी. और जो ये आज़ादी है ये बनी रहे. गॉड ब्लेस अफ्रीका. और भगवान अफ्रीका को ब्लेस करे, उन्नति दे, तरक्की दे. इसी के साथ ही ये उसकी स्पीच का जो पार्ट है यहाँ पर ख़त्म होता है. यहाँ तक हम आज इतना ही करेंगे. बाकी जो है नेक्स्ट यू विल फाइंड इन नेक्स्ट वीडियो. आई एम मेकिंग दीज वीडियोज़ इन पार्ट्स so that the recording does not become heavy. Sometimes students are complaining that these videos are not being played on the system because these videos are very bulky. So that's why I am making these videos in parts. Thank you. Have a nice day, and don't forget to subscribe my channel.